Hi folks, Ken Ring here at www.predictweather.com. Well, a lot of you Irish people are writing to me and asking what on earth is going on with all these colder temperatures, and I'll try and tell you. But hey, if it's any comfort to you, central Siberia, which is just up a bit and over to the right, and round about the same latitude range as Scandinavia, central Siberia is minus 47 degrees today. That's pretty cold. I don't know if there are any farmers from that area watching what we're doing, but anyway, hello if you are watching. The outlook for solar activity from the sunspot weather websites is quite interesting and worth watching, because it's the solar activity that gives us our temperatures to a large degree. Now, you may remember that the sunspot cycle 24 has just sort of started over the last few months, the sun having been asleep for the past 2 years, and around about July the sun got going, started to wake up. Well, it seems for December there's pretty wide agreement that solar activity may still be generally low, which will mean that not that much radiation around, and it'll be bringing lower temperatures overall to the northern hemisphere. And this month starts cold, as we've all seen, and then there's a small increase in solar activity after today, so a little bit of more flares and things coming off, and that may stall the downward pressure, the downward temperature plunge for a few days. So between tomorrow and the 10th, the sun is calculated to be just at normal levels of activity, and average temperature regimes for December for the season may pretty well result for over the next week. In other words, normal temperatures for this time of the year. And then between the 10th and the 17th, so that's kind of in 2 weeks' time, solar activity again increases, which could bring some milder temperatures. Then the 17th brings a further downward change in the solar levels, resulting again in colder temperatures, that with the exception of Christmas Day, because Christmas Day looks like a fairly mild day, with the exception of that, it may continue till the end of the month. So on the 20th, the moon is the furthest north, just as it was on the 23rd of November, and winter furthest north, that's when you get very cold temperatures. And so around about the 20th of December, you'll have another cold lunar influence. And it means that in the northern hemisphere, by this analysis, probably the coolest periods could be, well, the 1st and 2nd, which we've had, the 6th to the 10th, which is in a few days' time, the 17th to the 24th, so just before Christmas, and then after Christmas, the 26th to the 31st. And then relatively milder periods by that analysis will be the in-between times, so the 3rd to the 5th, and the 11th to the 16th, and around about the 25th. The declination is the name given for the latitude of the moon at any one time, and that kind of sets the moon's position. So it was right in the north on the 23rd of November. And the perigee, that's when the moon comes closer to the earth, it sets the speed from that position. And in any month, there's about 12 days when the moon is perigee affected, which means it's going faster, more gravitational pull in the direction that the moon is moving between the latitudes. And that's what we've had over the past week. So my feeling is that the speed of the moon is the main factor. If you remember last hemisphere winter, 2009-2010, remember how cold it was? Well, the perigees were averagely much closer than they were 6 months before. They were at that time, which means the moon was going faster. It was at the northern declination times, and just afterwards it was bringing down more cold Arctic air, got to be dragged further south into the southern latitudes, and it resulted in a colder season. And there was the overlay of a colder sun as well. But we must remember, I think, that the northern declination always brings colder weather in winter, but the speed of the moon determines how far south that cold will get, which determines how cold Ireland and the UK will get in the week that the moon is travelling from the northern position to when it crosses the equator into the southern hemisphere. So that's what we've got right now. Now the cold is coming down the eastern side of the UK, so they're getting more. But as soon as the close position of the moon is over, which is after today, moon cross is over, the conditions should get a bit milder. At least the temperatures won't keep going down. So December, I've got a month of some precipitation almost every day for Ireland, and the colder temperatures coming, as we said, between the 9th or the 10th and the 17th, around about the 21st, just after Christmas. Now, there may be a day of sunshine about the 9th, but all the rest of the days should be overcast, and most of the rain should be in the first half of the month. Christmas Day should be dry and cloudy and not too cold. I actually don't expect anywhere in Ireland to have a white Christmas. If they do, it will be snow, I think, that fell beforehand and is still there. And then it goes cold again the end of December to the 10th of January, which is kind of like the second cold spell of the winter. So this is the first one, and the end of December is the second one, which takes in New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And then it goes cold again the 18th to the 29th of January. But that first half of January, I think, for Ireland should be relatively dry. So it may only be heavy frosts that you'll get. And then you'll get some precipitation about every few days in the second half of January. Then we're into February. February should be cold in the first week, then a bit of snow then, but relatively dry between the 10th and the 21st. And the northern declination, moon furthest north, that will be between the 11th and the 13th of February. So it probably won't snow much then unless there's precipitation. I don't think there will be. So there could be just frost. I've got the sun breaking out round about the 11th, and then from the 11th to the end of February, well, only really one rain day in Ireland, and that'll be around the 25th. But it'll be cloudy and not too cold during that period, which is 11th to the 28th of February. Then we're into March. March goes cold between the 10th and the 16th because that's again the northern declination, but also I think pretty dry. So probably only heavy frosts. And March should be quite dry. Some sunshine between the 10th and the 17th. Goes cloudy after that. But a fairly dry month, only 2 or 3 real rain days, probably between the 7th and the 8th. The moon will be the closest to the Earth for the whole year on March the 20th, so expect some really cold temperatures in that second week of March and some heavy frosts. And there's a couple of days in the first week of April that may bring frosts and snow, and that will be that. That will be your winter. So really, in the first week of April, that's the last of the cold temperatures. We'll be talking well before that, but it kind of means that the winter won't be nearly as cold as a lot of people think it will be. The cold spells will last for a week or two, and then they'll change to milder weather, I think, or the plunges will stall. And some of the coldest periods, they'll be like now. We actually had them in the last days of October too, but now, round about these northern declination times, the week around New Year's Eve, most of January, the first half of February, the second week in March, and the first week in April. And so you'll look back on it and say, yeah, that winter wasn't so bad. In fact, Ireland's winter is going to be a lot milder, I think, than what the UK gets. So stay warm, wrap up, and bear it out. It is winter time after all. Can't expect things to be too mild at this time of the year. But hey, my heart goes out for you. Around here, it's around about 20 degrees. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. See you later.